President Donald Trump was not awarded with the 2025 Nobel Peace Prize. And every conservative voice out there is basically saying there's one reason he wasn't awarded, and that's because the Nobel Committee is a, quote, propaganda pickled pinko posse. I don't know why I said quote. That's my own words. I'm summarizing.
Oh.
So
no, you can quote yourself. It's all good.
I'm quoting myself. But basically,
it was literally not literally what they said. Yeah.
The general gist from the conservative side is that the committee is made up of leftists who hate Trump and would rather die than award him with anything. And that is in juxtaposition, of course, to the fact that they gave Obama a Nobel Peace Prize for literally just being elected president before he had done anything at all. But that is not, in my opinion, the real reason that he didn't win. There's another bigger reason that I have not seen anybody talk about. And I don't want to spoil it right now because we're going to reveal it later in the episode. But I think you'll be interested because nobody spoil it. I know you guys know because we talked about it in the chat earlier. But a hilarious thing that we're going to talk about is that the lady who won the Nobel Peace Prize just this past weekend as a recording, she is saying that Trump should have won it, that Trump deserved it more than she did. And this has actually been shocking a lot of people. Right after she got it, she dedicated the Nobel Peace Prize to Trump, as well as the Venezuelan people. And so we're going to get into this, unless y'all have any comments right off the bat.
I feel like I've already said things about the Nobel Peace Prize in a previous episode about Obama winning it, and that's all I had.
Yeah,
we do have a previous episode on the Nobel Peace Prize, or from a few months back when people were nominating Trump.
Yeah, they've had some pretty non-deserving recipients, I would say, or nothing spectacular, I would say, is my summary.
You knew it was a joke the minute they handed it to certain individuals. Like, this must not mean anything. Yeah, that's the only ideas I've ever had on the Nobel Peace Prize. I actually literally stopped paying attention to it. Not that I paid a lot of attention to it before, but when that happened, I completely stopped. I didn't even know that this was happening until you brought it up a second ago. That's how little I pay attention to it.
Well, yeah, it was I definitely feel that what all the conservatives are saying is very much true. But it may not be the real reason, but it's definitely it's like maybe there's a backup reason or like the floor reason that would kick into gear if the other reason wasn't available. That's what I would say. But all points to Trump not getting the Nobel Peace Prize.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And I agree with you for sure. Their assessment is absolutely correct about the Nobel Peace Prize Committee having turned into a propaganda machine in recent decades. But we will get into the more possibly the truer reason as to why Trump definitely did not win and did not have a chance of winning this year. So before we get into that, though, let's talk about the lady who did win and the reasons why she has dedicated it to Donald Trump, because this is actually a really fascinating story. So this is the story of Venezuela and a lady named Maria Corina Machado. So Machado she was just awarded the Nobel Peace Prize for, quote, promoting democratic rights for the people of Venezuela. And I think that their, general assessment of what she's done is absolutely true. So she's a conservative politician, and she has been the main opposition of Nicolas Maduro for like the last several years. And Maduro is currently the president/dictator of Venezuela. He's been the president since 2013. And actually, I'm going to pull up, because I just think this is hilarious. He was not happy that they rewarded his opposition with the Nobel Peace Prize.
That's awesome.
He closed the Norwegian embassy right after this happened because the Nobel Committee is based in Norway.
That's quite the tantrum.
Yeah, a little bit of a temper.
He did what?
Temper tantrum there. Say what?
Shut the embassy down?
He closed the embassy. Yeah, the in Venezuela. Yeah.
Tell me you're off your rocker without saying you're off your rocker. Talk about showing your cards. Like you can't. That's an absolutely absurd thing to. You think he would do something a little more quiet, but that is literally like falling on the floor and stomping his feet. That's ridiculous.
Yeah. That's like the mom having to drag the kid out of the grocery store because he didn't get what he wanted, and they're like not moving, all like dead fish. That's the kind of tantrum that is.
Oh man.
It's
Is there-
embarrassing.
And there's not even an attempted thing to like. It's actually did he connect it with them or with this?
Oh, I didn't look into it enough, honestly. I literally just pulled up this article to show a picture of him, and I was looking at the article and I was like, oh, it says the move comes after the Norwegian Nobel Committee awarded the Nobel Peace Prize to Venezuelan, but it also says that he closed the Australian embassy as well. So I don't know what that's about. So he probably has a different reason. I doubt that he just came out and said like, well, I don't like that you gave it to Machado, so so he probably had a more legit reason. But if y'all don't know about this guy,
I don't know. I kind of doubt it, but go ahead. Yeah.
He probably had a different reason that he said publicly, reason. But yeah. That's probably the reason. Days after they awarded her with the prize. Anyway, so if y'all don't know, of course, he's been president since 2013. He's a socialist, and he has been credited for turning the country into a hellhole. From 2013 to 2017, things got so bad. Food shortages, especially, were so bad that the population lost 19 pounds on average.
Wow.
To give you an idea of how many people have been starving to death in Venezuela, and just how much less food they have. He also prompted, since 2014, 20% of the country has fled as refugees. 20%. That's 7.7 million people. And it's one of the largest refugee crises ever, basically. One of the biggest that has ever happened. Machado, the lady from before, has been the biggest opposition to Maduro, and she's been backed by the United States for a while. And the U.S. has, for a long time, tried to pressure Maduro's government to hold a fair election because he keeps having rigged elections to stay in office. And instead, in 2023, Maduro's government banned Machado from running for office. And they claimed because she was like colluding with the U.S. to put sanctions on Venezuela and stuff like that. So what Machado did was she backed somebody else to kind of take her place in the last election, which took place last summer, 2024. And all evidence points to that Machado's party won the election by a landslide. They secured proof and like copies of ballots and stuff that showed that they got the most votes. But Maduro's government said, nope, definitely not. Maduro won the election. And then there was a riot, and there was like a couple dozen people killed. And then Machado had to go into hiding so she wouldn't be arrested. And she eventually fled the country. So give you guys a little bit of chance to chime in there before I start talking about how this relates to the Nobel Peace Prize and how it relates to America.
Well, I think I would say, to start off, if you're looking the Nobel Peace Prize, you have to look at like what are the criteria for actually receiving it. And I think it'd be an interesting study to look back at the winners over the past few decades and see, do they actually meet the criteria? And that would be the best way to judge, are they actually following the official criteria or not, or is it more of a political thing or whatever, like have they gone off the rails? So the criteria is actually, according to Alfred Nobel's will, is that it may be awarded annually to a person or organization who has done the most or the best work within the past year for building fraternity between nations, fraternity meaning the state of feeling of friendship or mutual support within a group. And then it says for the abolition or reduction of standing armies. So that's a very specific thing, or for the holding and promotion of peace congresses, meaning like meetings or a series of meetings for discussion between delegates, like using it that way. So the idea of either stopping literal standing armies from doing what they're doing, literally building friendships between nations, or holding peace congresses. Like those are the three things. Now, does she deserve it or not? I think one of the things, so they have a list of considerations for deliberation as well to help kind of make that decision and like apply it directly. And one of those is to consider how the nominee has been championed by other voices, particularly ones beyond the borders of the nominee's home country. So I would say the United States backing her and her, what she's trying to do in Venezuela, that counts, but also consider how the nominee represents more than just their efforts in their political context and how she backed somebody else to continue what she was trying to do instead of saying, no, I have to be the one, when it didn't make sense anymore. I think she falls under that category as well. So I'm not saying she doesn't deserve it. I think it's cool that she's, dedicated it to Trump, but at the same time, it seems like she may definitely deserve it as well.
Yeah. Considering those standards, though, yes, I agree she does deserve it. But if you look at what Trump has done with non-bias view one way or the other, it does seem like he probably checks those boxes a little bit more.
Oh, the original language of the criteria,
Yeah.
100%. I'm just saying that
Mainly the conference, like basically the conferences between, to get people to talk and then like actually like, brokering peace deal
Right.
kind of side
I'm
of
saying,
it.
I think,
does she make the list though of people to consider?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
For
Well,
sure.
In my mind.
but I think she's done a pretty good service. I mean, I think it's pretty honorable that she chose to dedicate it to him, or at least, even if you have to dedicate it to him, to at least nod to the fact that, this is a great honor to receive this, but and acknowledging the work that he has done, because that's what everybody is talking about and thinking about. But so I think it's nice that she did that. And I don't know, I was trying to look into some of these other commentators that talk about intel agencies and all that, what's really going on in Venezuela and who's really pressuring, allowing these kinds of things to happen. And because we've seen U.S. pressure in other countries, like behind the scenes, that get elections the way they want them to go. But anyway, this is fantastic. I think it's nice to see that at least someone on the conservative side won this, which I'm a bit shocked. Like I kind of want to dig more into this just to understand, like what's the thing behind the thing that allowed them to give this to a conservative from a nation that actually banned her from running for office and has someone who's more of the communist, left-leaning side of things leading the country. So I don't know if this, what would lead
Ryan,
them to
I
actually
think there
do that.
is a little bit of, even looking at the original language for the criteria, if you look at the considerations for deliberation, there is a little bit of inclusivity, like standards there. I mean, one of the standards is consider the geographical location. If somebody in this area of the world won it last year, then lean away from giving it to somebody in that area of the world next year. Like that is one of the considerations. So there's a little that makes me think that it's not necessarily always a fair contest, in the sense of actual fairness. So it could be the fact that she is a female from South America. It could be that helped them to, it's like, well, yes, she's conservative, but she does have these other things going for her. And listen, I'm not saying that she doesn't deserve it. I think based on what she's done, I think she does. But when you're talking about, why would this organization give it to her? That may be one of the reasons.
Yeah, and there's more things considered than just the actual work of peace. It's also geographical. It's also all the like you said, all these other factors that need to strike a global balance of things.
I don't know enough about this, but a thing to potentially consider is like, how conservative is she really? Because in light of what you're dealing with there, you don't have to be all that conservative to be opposed. You know what I mean? Like you could probably still be pretty liberal.
Yeah,
I was going to chime in on that. She's described herself as like a classical liberal, right? And means she's in favor of like property rights and stuff like that. I don't really know what all the ins and outs of her politics are. I didn't look enough into them, but you're absolutely right, because Maduro is a full-blown socialist that has ran the country in the ground. Nobody on the left likes Maduro. I just want to put that, when Ryan says he's like, the communist socialist. I get that people on the left themselves are more communist and more socialist by nature and by their policies, but nobody on the left in the West or Norway likes Maduro because he's a dictator that's caused immeasurable suffering.
It might be like if you compared Tulsi Gabbard to Bernie Sanders, like because she was Democrat, right, and she does have some liberal leaning things, but obviously she wasn't all the way over there.
Sure.
Yeah, that's a good point. That's a good example.
Well, I'm going to continue this story of Venezuela because you're getting to this. Is going to get to, of course, why she ended up dedicating it to Trump. So looking back at. I'm blanking on my notes here for a second here.
Doug, it's going to take me all day to unravel that example that you just gave.
Really?
I'm like Tulsi Gabbard, Bernie Sanders.
That was a great example. All right, I'm back on track here. Okay, so we know that America has long backed Machado's. We know that America's long backed Machado's party and tried to push Maduro out, or tried to at least get a fair election where he doesn't end up rigging the result. So that's been going on for a while. But this, as far as Trump's involvement, this goes back to Trump's first term. He put sweeping sanctions on Venezuela during his first term. And he had a quote, America would use every tool to end Maduro's dictatorship in Venezuela. So that's his first term, sweeping sanctions, which ended up getting, I guess, Machado in trouble there eventually, because that's what they blamed her for, and why that was Maduro's rationale for banning her from future elections. But this year, Trump has really upped the ante, changed the game. That's because Maduro's regime runs on drug money. That's how he's able to stay in power. That's where he gets his money, is drug money. So what has the U.S. Government done under Trump this year? Well, they've identified President Maduro as the leader of a cartel, the Cartel de las Soles, if I'm saying that correctly. And they're trafficking drugs into the United States. They've been doing this for a long time. They also, under Trump, we've declared this cartel specifically a specially designated global terrorist organization. And under Marco Rubio, we've offered $50 million reward for information that would lead to Maduro's arrest and or conviction. So really up the ante from the first term, just going from sanctions to now being like, you are literally, the U.S. government is looking at Maduro now under Trump as not as a president of a nation, but literally as the head of a international cartel, and that when we want his arrest. That's what we're looking at.
Movie status.
Yeah, no kidding.
Yeah. So we've really turned up the heat in that regard. In the last few months, you guys probably are familiar with this. Our newly titled Department of War has started blowing up narco boats coming from Venezuela. So we've blown up like 6 of these, and these are Maduro's boats. I mean, this is how he makes his money. And so we're blowing up his boats right now, or at least the ones that presumably are owned by his cartel. And Machado, of course, seemed extremely appreciative of all this. And like I said, after winning the Nobel Peace Prize, she publicly dedicated it to Trump, said that Trump deserved it more. And she says, quote, "I dedicate this prize to the suffering people of Venezuela and to the President Trump for his decisive support of our cause." And then later on NPR, she again dedicated it to Trump, saying she dedicated it to Trump, to President Trump, because I think it's the correct thing to do, not only for what he has been doing in the last month to solve long and painful conflicts around the world. She's probably talking about Israel and Gaza there, but precisely for what he's doing right now for the Americas. Because, quote, "This is not only about Venezuela. Once Maduro goes, the Cuban regime will follow, the Nicaragua regime will follow, and for the first time in history, we'll have the Americas free of communism and narco dictatorships," end quote.
Wow.
I just thought that was a really good quote, so I wanted to include
it is.
So further thoughts about this whole situation we have going on between Venezuela and America?
The last thing I'll say is that, every time we hit another boat that's like bringing drugs to the U.S. or whatever, the left media like bashes Trump left and right all over it. It's like they just
they hate it. Yeah, they absolutely
make it look like the worst thing that's ever happened.
This is a war crime because you're killing civilians from another country. And you're like, yes,
do you not realize we're in a war with a government-backed drug cartel?
What?
I mean,
never mind if somebody's running out of a bank in the U.S. with a gun and a bunch of money, and they're a U.S. citizen, and they get taken out because they're threatening people. Like, would the left have a problem with that? I mean, that's ridiculous. Like,
well, they do actually. Yeah, they don't.
Well,
they don't want to
you're
do
right.
anything about criminals.
Yeah, that's right.
You're not supposed to think logically here, Ryan.
Yeah, that's right. I guess he was probably just trying to feed his family. So,
yeah, he's the victim.
Yeah, I think it's going to be very interesting to watch what the further developments with regard to Venezuela. But I just feel like maximum pressure, just absolutely crushing whatever these supply lines are, is what needs to happen. And I think it's great that actually, if she won that, I think that's a good. If it wasn't going to be Trump, it makes sense for somebody who's actually moving forward the cause, a good cause, and standing against the radical left cause that's actually doing a lot of harm to our country as well in the U.S. So I think it's good. It'll be interesting to watch what comes next.
Let me get into the real reason Trump didn't win this year. Hopefully this isn't too anticlimactic. It is a little anticlimactic. So we know that Trump
100%.
did a lot this year. He's been credited for mediating a ceasefire between India and Pakistan, facilitating an agreement between Rwanda and Congo, brokering a ceasefire between Israel and Iran. Well, that happened so long ago, I almost forgot about that one. Prevented a water war between Egypt and Ethiopia, used the power of trade to end clashes between Thailand and Cambodia, oversaw the Armenian Azerbaijan peace accord, I forgot how to pronounce that country, and most recently ended the war between Israel and Hamas.
And Ukraine is next, apparently.
And then we'll see if Ukraine, that would be amazing if Ukraine was next. So I saw that summary online. And so many people are, of course, asking, after doing all this, how could he possibly have not got the win this year. And Ryan brought this to our attention the other day, and I had to laugh because I didn't realize that this was the case, and nobody else. I haven't seen anybody else talk about this. But literally, so the 2025 award goes to somebody who was nominated in 2024. And the deadline for the nomination for 2025 is January 31st, 2025. And so Trump has been nominated multiple times this year, but all of them were after January 31st, 2025. So he wouldn't have really even been in consideration because the nominations from like the India-Pakistan thing and the ones from Israel and other people that nominate him, I think Cambodia.
So
or
whoever
Thailand,
won this year, it was supposed to be for things that they did last year and
Yes.
the years prior to that. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
So
Which makes a lot of sense.
So the award for this year is supposed to be from previous years, not from what they did this year, because they get the nominations in January and then they spend like the whole year deliberating on it. So technically speaking, he should win next year. And if he doesn't win next year, then I will have to, I can confidently declare that the committee are in fact a propaganda pickled pinko passe. I have such a hard time. That's a mouthful. Because he definitely wins it. He definitely deserves to win it for next year.
I would say I'm confidently declaring that already at this point. Are you
saying he's not going to win next year, Ryan?
No, I'm saying even if he does win, I would say that's still true. And the only reason he would win probably would be because of the public pressure for that, not because they actually want to give it to him.
You're saying they're still commies regardless? Like that's
yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
Either way,
it walks like a duck, quacks like a duck. It's a duck. I'm gonna
guess.
And it salutes. It's a duck.
I'm gonna make my official guess right now and say he's gonna win next year.
Really?
Yeah.
That's my official guess.
I'm not confident. I really am not confident.
My confidence comes from the pressure of the public. That's my Like we
that's,
have to give
that's my only. That's the only way that could happen because it could easily fade into the night and you know they're moving on to something else. Maybe the next crisis comes up or something and people aren't even talking about that at that point.
They might do it begrudgingly, but they'll probably still do it.
Yeah, I don't
they
know.
might cross their fingers behind their back, but it really doesn't mean anything.
If the Obama thing did not already nail the coffin, the head, hit the nail in the head into the coffin, however you say that. If the Obama thing didn't already kill the credibility of the committee for being nominated to do nothing, then this would be the final blow. If he doesn't win it next year, that's the final blow.
Yeah, for sure.
This is nothing.
They were counting on what he was going to do, Reese. They knew what he was going to do.
Yeah, they gave
divider in chief or uniter or change.
They already had the list of things. They already had the list of things ahead of time that they were planning for him to do.
Hope and change.